walk off that 18th hole, I'm looking at my calendar and be like, all right, when's the next time I can get back out there? Like, it's depressing. Like, when I leave, I play men's league basketball, men's league soccer. Like, when that final whistle blows, I'm like, I never want to do this again. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So, golf is like, man, I don't know. I think I could probably go get like another 4 holes.
Yeah.
All right, and welcome to another episode of Expand Your Brand Podcast. We welcome on a special guest. He's Eric Korytkowski. He's the head coach of North Smithfield High School boys soccer team. Also, he's been 2-time Coach of the Year for Division II and the Ryan Scholastic League, and named National Federation State High School Association State Coach. So, welcome on the program. It's a lot of accolades.
Oh yeah, and,
I might have a couple more to go through.
I'll do a humble brag here. We just got it's definitely a team award. I tell my assistant coaches all the time, like whenever you get something like that, it's definitely a team award for not only your players but your coaching staff as well. No team that goes 0-14 gets Coach of the Year.
Yeah. Right.
So we just won actually the New England Coach of the Year as well for small schools. So it was a huge accomplishment. But again, they're not giving those to coaches that are going 0-15, 0-16. So it's definitely a team award. Been very blessed to have some great players playing for me, so they make me probably look a lot better than I am.
Well, I mean, it's awesome that what you've been able to do up in North Smithfield and what that program and your team and everything. So it's great. But before we get into our interview, I gotta ask you. We always start our podcast off like this. What are you smoking? What's your cigar today?
I went with an old classic, a little Monte Cristo.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's
some
Jeff's
tough,
favorite.
Some tough choices in there, man. I mean, I used to smoke a lot more cigars than I do now, but I was always like a classic Olivia fan. Some Ashton cigars back in the day.
Yeah.
But I saw the Monte Cristo calling my name in there, so I went right for it.
Awesome.
Can't beat it.
Jeff, what are you smoking?
I'm not smoking anything today. I'm still battling my sinus infection. So
I hear cigars clear that right up.
Yeah, I know. I wish it would be very, very helpful. So, so still doing my impression of the Jordan Flu game today. So, how about yourself, Austin? What do you got?
I have the Drew Estate and Vintage Cigar Lounge collab that we got at the event the other night. It's called the Herrera Esteli. Probably butchered it, but it's pretty good. I like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, you were down here at the event, so thank you so much for stopping by and supporting us, and it's awesome to have you on the show. You've been coaching for a while, and you've been into it, but I want to know, like, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned from coaching, and what really got you to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my father was my coach all my life, especially with soccer. So I learned a lot from him. Guys like Neil Cobley and my father were just huge role models growing up. But then, as Austin can attest to, as he's a coach now, times have changed.
Oh, yeah.
And I was lucky enough the other night to be presenting at an award banquet for North Smithfield, and was able to give Coach Brandon DePaula his Coach of the Year award for North Smithfield. And in the speech, something I said that I've learned from him drastically is that the age of that dictatorship kind of coaching, where it's like, hey, it's my way or the highway, I think that's kind of come and gone.
Yeah.
You really have to find a way to connect with players now and connect with the community. And that's probably the thing I've learned most is, I remember my first year or two coaching soccer, I was like, they'd have a pasta party. I was very removed from it. I'm like, no, can't be caught outside of school. And that whole thing has changed. So, like, I've gotten to know families up there, got to know the kids outside of the school. And that's just the biggest change, and probably the biggest life lesson I've learned. It's all about relationships now, being more than a coach to the players. It's just changed. Even just I've been coaching for 9 years now up in North Smithfield, and even in that short period of time, like, it's changed drastically.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I can attest to that for sure. How does, looking back on when you first started throughout the evolution of now becoming Coach of the Year, New England Coach of the Year, can you give us some insight as to how everything's kind of transpired over the years? Yeah,
I mean, going back, so I started with the basketball program, and then the year after I started basketball, I was lucky enough to get the soccer job. And when I was a new coach coming in, still young at the time, trying to find my footing in the coaching world. Now, soccer was a sport that I owe a lot to. It brought me a long way in life. So trying to instill that into the kids, but like I said, that I think right around the time I started coaching, that shift started happening. So like I was in there, again, I didn't do anything outside of the school other than like community service and stuff like that was mandated by the school.
Yeah.
But I never connected with the kids. They weren't buying into what I was selling, and I wasn't buying into the fact that I needed to coddle them the way they wanted to be coddled at the time. And that first year was just an absolute nightmare. I mean, it culminated with me coaching a senior night game where we had to get a point to make the playoffs. And we had 16 seniors back then, and I didn't get one of the kids into the game. I got 15 out of 16 kids into the game. We made the playoffs. The next morning, there was a mother's email that wanted me pretty much to resign.
No,
and I was like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've just kind of grown. And then once you start getting kids to buy in, you can start creating an environment, really creating a program. Those first 2 or 3 years, I really wasn't creating a program. It really wasn't until that freshman class I had that first year when they were seniors.
Yep.
That's when we had our first really successful season. That was our first trip to the state championship game because those kids had bought into the system.
Right.
And it's tough for high school kids. They got so many other things going on. And now here comes this new guy trying to – this is the way we've done it for the past 4 years. So once you get that first program in that you see them from start to finish, I think that's where you really start to build that environment, that culture that you want to put on display for everybody to see. And that's where I saw really the true potential of what we had going up in North Smithfield was, all right, these guys are really starting to buy in and, that team atmosphere, that family atmosphere, those pasta parties, I can't express enough how big seeing those kids outside of the sport and connecting with them there goes to them respecting you and really buying into your program.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's such an interesting time, I think, from when we played, like, high school sports until, like, now it's way different from, like, you have to be careful what you say, like, how you approach a kid. Like, every kid is also different. Some kids like to be coached harder, and then some kids don't like to be, need that coddle.
I have a full list. We do this for basketball too and soccer. I have a full list of every kid on my team and how I need to coach each one of them.
Really?
It's crazy,
And it's some kids you can drag them across the turf 100 yards. They'll pop up and say, "Hey, I'm ready to go, coach." And other kids, you just gotta it's a subtle pat on the back and said, "Hey, we got this together." So. And if you try to use those different methods on different kids and it doesn't work, you just run into the risk of losing them for good.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's like a line that you have to kind of toe and be careful of like what to do and whatnot. And like you said, it's just kind of getting a feel for like what your kid's like. And I mean, I've had kids when I coach basketball tell me like, "Can you just be like meaner to me?" Like, you get more out. I'm like, all right, I didn't like. I was just trying to like. Just then that's when you kind of start to pay attention to the personalities of like or what they need and what.
I mean, sports were everything when I grew up, and you guys are the same. And it's like when you were playing a sport, you dedicated everything to it. North Smithfield is a much smaller community, so the kids are involved in so much. They got chorus going on, they got band going on, and because it's such a small community, these kids play everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sitting at the award banquet the other night, all my soccer players are all winning awards for track and field, and those same kids are going to go do track and field again, and they're just involved in so much. I love seeing the non-sport specific kids now, where the kids are playing the same sport 365 days a year. I think the message is out that it's okay to do other things.
Exactly.
Sure.
And that's a huge asset, but at the same time, like, you don't get the same, like, all right, it's all or nothing. Kids sometimes wake up the next day and be like, oh, yeah, we lost, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
For me, I lose. It's 3 days before I even want to talk to somebody again.
Exactly.
There is a fine line for sure.
Yeah.
I think college coaches like when like moving on when you are diverse in other sports, but like you said, if it doesn't mean as much to you, are you going to put all of your effort into it, and is it going to matter at the end of the day where everything you do needs to matter, So it's hard to kind of balance that out all the time.
I saw that even the change with my dad and the golf team back, this probably started 6-7 years ago, where kids just wouldn't come to practice. They had other stuff going on. They were playing AAU or something like that, and they just weren't coming to practice. I'm like, you gotta put your foot down.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but if you do, you run the risk of losing the kids. So as long as it's in the scope
Yeah.
of, hey, they're doing what they need to do, it's a constant balancing act, right?
Right.
And I know
Yeah.
we've had some conversations this year. You know, I think you guys, even at the middle school level, you're starting to find that it's a balancing act. You are
Right.
constantly walking a tightrope.
Well, that was the thing. Like when I was coaching basketball over at Wheeler, it was like we had kids who played soccer. Soccer was like their main sport, and they'd be playing indoor AAU soccer, travel, whatever,
Yeah.
and they want to miss practice on a Saturday because I got a soccer game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, and I was with Neil at the time too, so Neil was like, well, it's basketball season, it's like dedication, but he also understood the fact of like, okay, like it's, we gotta do what you gotta do type of thing, but like also, but it's tough. It's also not a
It's
fine
tough.
line. Yeah, it's a fine line to like walk because same thing. I had a girl who, when I coached girls basketball too, she played softball too all year round, and it was
Yeah.
like. She was one of our better players. It's like, we kind of need you for our practices and be here.
I mean, one of the biggest changes I made about 5 years ago was I got rid of weekend practices for
Really?
soccer.
Yeah.
Unless I have a Monday game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then even with that, I'll probably give the Friday off
Yeah.
and practice Sunday night.
Yeah.
But that's my time for everybody to go home and just kind of reset.
Yeah.
Go take care of, right? We got kids at work, and like go bust tables, go do what you want to do. Take the
Yeah.
weekend to reset, and we'll gather back up on Monday. And it's paid dividends for me because the kids come back on Monday and nobody's burnt out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said,
That's really good. I don't understand, like, I don't know, growing up, because playing for your dad, golf, I know it's only two months, right? And I
Yeah.
didn't take it too serious back then, which I kind of kick myself now, obviously. But, like, I would leave from a match or a practice and go right up to AAU,
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I'd give all to both
Yeah.
in a way. And, like, I wish it was more kind of like that now. Now it's people don't want to burn
Yeah, yeah.
themselves out. But
Right. Yeah.
I remember leaving like rec basketball games down at the town league, getting in a car,
Yeah.
flying up to Warwick where we played indoor soccer.
yeah,
Right,
right.
And I was
Yeah,
like, all right, hey, we got 40 minutes to get up there, get dressed, and get ready to go.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
changing, you're changing in the back of the car,
Yeah.
running in, they're blowing the whistle.
Yeah.
And of
I
course,
know.
I'm playing goalie for soccer, so like I'm running out there trying to put my gloves on.
Yeah.
And,
It's a different world for sure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I mean, how like one of the biggest things, Eric, and you have success over year. How do you keep that steady, Eddie? Like keep going with the success. Is there any like secret recipe? Do you have Michael Jordan's secret water? What do you have? Like what?
Well, I wish
Yeah.
you know what the thing is you find ways, especially at the high school level, right? And soccer's definitely a little bit easier in this retrospect than like say basketball, right? Basketball, you got 5 guys on the court. The majority of the time, if you have that superstar on the court,
Yeah.
they're gonna come out,
Yeah.
right? Every now and then you can pull an upset or something like that, but for the majority of the time, like the cream's gonna rise,
Right,
right?
oh, yeah,
the,
big
the,
time.
the cream of the crop is gonna rise up there. Soccer's it's an 11-man game, so you can hide deficiencies a little bit better. It's a chess match.
Yeah.
Soccer is so much more than a chess match.
Yeah.
You have the ability to. We've been heavily favored in the last couple either state championship games or semifinals, and we've had teams really just park the bus on us, right? Hey, well, listen, we might not score, but you're not going to score.
Yeah.
And then you try to get the penalty kicks, and that's what happened to this year in the semifinals to us is, you take it to penalty kicks and anything can happen.
Right. Yeah.
And soccer in that aspect is just so much more of a chess match. Basketball, you can't sit back and play defense
Yes,
because
you
after 35 seconds or whatever, you got to go the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
But soccer is a chess match, and for me, it's being prepared. It's we do a lot of film. We prepare for each opponent. We change game plans. We never have the same game plan twice. Never take an opponent lightly, and you just breed that culture.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that is going to help you in the long term. Is getting that culture in place so that the young kids that are learning from the older kids have that culture. So when those older kids graduate, especially at a small school, if we lose 6 seniors,
Yeah.
we probably only have 2 freshmen coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't made a cut in 8 years in soccer.
Wow.
I've had over 30 people once on a varsity and JV program.
Jesus, that's crazy.
It's funny because we play in North Kingstown in a scrimmage every year. We set it up years ago and we play. And I talked to their coach Paul, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, we had 76 kids try out for the team this year." I'm like, "That's about 3 years worth of tryouts for me."
Yeah. That's
right.
crazy. Yeah.
So you have to do those little things because some of these bigger schools are probably cutting kids that would be a role player for you.
Yeah.
So you just gotta, like I said, you gotta grind, especially when you're with those smaller schools. It's a grind.
Oh yeah.
But if you do all the little work and you do that preparation, it pays huge dividends.
Big time.
Yeah. Can you? We're still kind of in basketball season, so can you take us through the North Smithfield basketball season this year, and then we'll go back into the soccer season?
Yeah. So I mean, basketball is probably one of the most fun years I've ever had coaching anything. It was just a great group of kids. Brendan DePaula, our head coach, just does an absolutely phenomenal job of, again, preparing the kids. It was the weirdest season because, you go into the season, like, again, North Smithfield, I think we probably had 2 basketball players on the team. 2 kids that are, like, dedicated to basketball.
Yeah.
Everybody else, had 2 of my soccer players on the starting roster. We have our big man probably started playing basketball like 4 years ago. So he's always my special pride. I always coach the big, so he's just a great kid. And then we had a set of twin brothers that are football players. They play everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, hey, if we can get these kids to buy in and nobody complains about playing time or points or something like that, I think we had 4 guys averaging double figures.
Wow.
We
That's
never,
great.
that's a good problem.
It was very hard to game plan for us because you just never know who was going to go off.
Yeah.
Oh, be honest with you, we were probably one of the top scoring teams in D3, and we're probably the worst 3-point shooting team in D3. But Brandon and I are kind of old school in the fact that we don't want to live and die by the 3. We've had teams in the past that do that. So Coach B put in a great rule this year that the kids bought into, where if we missed 2 3-pointers in a row, you couldn't take another one.
Okay.
Until you got to the basket.
Wow.
You had to score an inside. So we had kids literally passing up wide open threes to get to the basket because that was the rule.
Wow.
So again, you can put all these rules into place. If you don't have the kids buying into it, it's all for naught.
Yeah.
So, like I said, and I said it at the beginning, is behind every good coach, you got to have a good team behind you.
Yeah.
Because if they don't buy into the stuff that you're selling, you're lost.
Yeah.
You're lost. So I mean, the kids played great. We had our, definitely Coach B and I, our best year coaching together in 9 years. We went 17-1. Made it all the way to the semifinals where we lost to the eventual champions, North Providence.
Yeah.
And then it was the first time we've ever had to have the feeling of, all right, you lost in the semifinal games. You have about a week and a half off, or a week off, and now you're going to go play in the state open.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then for us, we drew Barrington, who was arguably the best public school in the state during the regular season. They were the 3rd seed overall in D1, 4th seed in the state, and our message to the kids is, hey, listen, you're going to have about 32 minutes or 30 minutes to go and shock the world and really catch them off guard. And that's exactly what we did. We were so close, but like I said earlier, it's like when you have the best player, and in this case, Barrington probably had the best 1st, 2nd, and 3rd player on the court. We just came up a little bit short, but it was it's probably the first time being in the locker room after a loss when we looked at our kids and we're like, hey, we don't care about that outcome. You guys played your rear ends off.
Yeah, you had a great year.
It could have gone either way. When we lost to North Providence in the semifinals, it was a rough locker room. There was a sense of disappointment. We didn't play our best game. Barrington, there was none of that. It was the kids just played their rear ends off and just came up a little short. But we definitely didn't regret that at all. So
it's crazy.
Awesome, yeah.
What's your relationship with Coach B? I mean, you guys have been together for a while.
Yeah, so
I know Brendan very well too.
I never met him before. Everybody thinks we were best friends or something.
Yeah.
I never met him. And I told the story the other night at that banquet. I was doing my student teaching in North Smithfield. I had just left my high school placement, and the phys ed teacher, Jeff Crins, that I was doing my placement with, called me. I was gone for 4 days, and he said, hey, the head coach just walked out. It was 5 days before tryouts. The head coach just walked out. He took a job at Woonsocket. They're going to need help with the basketball team this year. Brandon had just taken the JV job at the time. So I met with Matt Tech, our AD, who obviously had known because we were teaching phys ed together. And they were like, hey, Brandon's going to run tryouts. come interview for the job. You know, if you get the JV job, you can help them. So I was like, all right. I was living in Easton, Massachusetts at the time, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from North Smithfield. And I figured, I'll go in there for a year, help out, and see what comes out of it. That summer, I took the soccer jobs, and I'm like, all right, now I'm here at North Smithfield. And I laughed with Brandon because the first 2 years we were together, he had his best friend from school coaching with him.
Yeah.
His name was Kurt. He ended up leaving after like 2 years. And then he brought in another one of his best friends, Coach Josh. He coached with us for like 2 or 3 years, and then he left. It's like I joke around with Brandon all the time. I'm like, I don't know, should I be worried? Like all your best friends leave, and I stay. But yeah, I mean now we're really good friends. Him and our girls basketball coach, she just resigned, but she was the girls coach. They just got married last year.
Oh wow!
I actually married them.
Oh,
So I did the ceremony. I mean, we hang out together all summer long. He's got a nice pool, so Max goes over to swim over there.
Oh, nice.
They're our ice cream buddies. So like every time my son is 4, he wants to go get ice cream. He's like, and he still calls him Coach. He says, "Can Coach Brandon and Coach Ari come get ice cream with us?" And we go to the same ice cream joint. So yeah, our families are growing together. We almost stepped down from the basketball job because he was having a baby in October, and then I was having my second one in November. And we got together at the end of last season. It was like, hey, you know, what do you want to do? He works for Providence College basketball, so his schedule's hectic during the winter. He was having the baby. I said, hey, listen. I was like, if you want to give it one more shot, I can fill in wherever is needed. And we ended up, you know, coming back for this season. And thank God we did, because what a rewarding experience that it was. And but yeah, I'm very proud to say Brandon's one of my best friends. We hang out all the time. So yeah, it's funny how things like coaching or things like basketball, when you share those passions, can just bring people together.
Yeah.
I would have put it on one of your accolades that you do marriages and stuff like that.
I've done 2. I've done 2 now.
Yeah, we gotta add that.
Yeah.
Shoot, I wish I knew that. I would have added that on there. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just like you said, from a guy that I'd never known, and then there I'm standing at the altar, you know, marrying him and Ari. It was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Can you explain what it's like to create the culture that you want within a team?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's not easy. You know, I think I talk to a lot of coaches that struggle with it and then give up on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, basketball and soccer are 2 different atmospheres, because basketball, you have a much smaller roster, right?
Yeah.
Your entire roster, if you're lucky, on a varsity program is going to be 12 kids.
Right. Yeah.
So you get, by nature, just very close-knit with those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on the bench, when I'm on the bench coaching, I talk to the same 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
Soccer's different. We, you know, even though we're a smaller school, I still have 22 guys on a varsity roster. You don't have that same time to sit down and talk with each and every kid. So that becomes harder in that aspect of, you know, growing a culture, getting stuff together. But yeah, there's bumps, there's bruises, there's turbulence. Nothing's ever easy, even when you're winning games. I mean, you know, with parents, I'm very fortunate with parents in North Smithfield. I very rarely have issues, but, you know, there's always rumblings. Like this year we went undefeated, and there's still parents that are, oh, my kid could do this, my kid could do that. I'm like, well, we're undefeated.
Yeah.
We're literally having the best record in school history.
Yeah.
So I guess my biggest tip is that you have to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
If you come in with one mindset and it's not working, trying to really drill that in may not be the best course of action.
Yeah.
Maybe pivoting and going, all right, hey, this isn't really working. Let's go this route. And like I said earlier, like, you have to take it on an individual basis. Like, if you come in, all right, I'm going to coach Jeff hard, so I'm going to coach everybody hard. That might only work for 20% of your team.
Yeah.
Right? And then so it's like, well, the other 80% needs to be coached lightly, so I'm going to coach everybody lightly.
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to lose Jeff and that 20%. So it's a constant balancing act, and you have to be willing to fail. You're going to have to you have to take chances. You have to be willing to fail.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a joke that goes around North Smithfield that, you know, if we ever make the playoffs again for soccer, like, I'm not coaching. I got to go somewhere else, because, we've lost in 3 state title games, a semifinal game. So, my players are like, Coach, maybe it's you. Because God forbid they take ownership of their own stuff. But so I said, if we ever make one, I'll let the assistants coach
from the bus.
I'll go coach from the bus. I have no problem with that. I'll get my heart rate will be a lot lower.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you got to be willing to fail.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to learn things unless you fail. And a lot of the young coaches that I talk to now that are just getting into it is like, oh, I tried to do this and it didn't work. So what now? Do something
Try
else.
again.
Try again.
Yeah.
Try something else, because if you have a roster of 23, 24 people, and you really change the life of 2 kids, one kid, it's worth it.
Yeah.
100% worth it.
So can you? I mean, you touched upon it a little bit, but can you just talk about the soccer season this last year?
Yeah. So soccer again. Going into this year, kids had a huge chip on their shoulders. We lost in the state championship game the year before. We were 8 minutes away from victory. We were playing against Charahoe. They tied it up, and we lost in overtime. So going into the season, we play in the summer league, and our mindset really changed. Of we don't want to go out, and this probably will sound really bad on camera, but we didn't want to go out there and just win games anymore. We wanted to go out there and really change our attitude to the fact that we just wanted to end teams.
Yeah.
Put
them away.
We were up 3-0 in the past. I was probably taking guys out, putting in the bench.
Yeah.
This year, because I was really just trying to change the mindset of the team, getting us ready for playoffs, it was never taking the foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Are we purposely going to run up the score and play a style of soccer that allows us? No, we're going to stay within our parameters of how we want to play soccer.
Yeah.
But if it leads to goals, then we're going to keep scoring.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And on top of that, we didn't give up any goals. I mean, we gave up 4 goals over the course of the season.
God,
Oh my God.
That's
We had the biggest goal differential in the state, D1, D2, or D3. And the kids just really bought in.
Yeah.
They kind of got what we were saying. And again, I won't sugarcoat. Winning helps a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to make it look like you know what you're doing when you're winning games.
Yeah.
I could do the same thing, and if we're losing, now I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Now those awards aren't there anymore because
Yeah.
you're losing. So the kids bought in, and then they executed the game plan. So that's what it was. And we ended up we had an undefeated season. We were 13-0-1, first place in division. Actually cracked top 500 in the national rankings, which was awesome.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
I think there was a period of time where we were the smallest public school in the max preps to crack the top 500. It probably only lasted like 2 days, and then max. It's so fluid.
Yeah.
And we got knocked back out. But it's just seeing the kids really come together. And then when you have those kind of years, the same thing happened in basketball. When you have these kind of years that are kind of historic, like the community starts coming together.
Yeah.
Right? Now the girls soccer team, the football team showing up to your games, the community showing up to your games. And then it just creates this really cool environment. Then you get the youth soccer programs. They want to come get a piece of the action. So they see.
Yep.
And that's really how you build a program, because when we're fighting year after year to get enough numbers just to run a JV program, you need to entice the youth that, hey, this is a cool opportunity to come and play here.
Yeah.
So just a fun season. Again, soccer, it's a chess match, and we kind of lost that chess match in the semifinals this year. But just it provided a lot of cool moments. I had, we got to beat Westerly in the quarterfinals, coached by Brian Williams, one of my dear old friends. We got to beat them in the, like I said, the quarterfinals up at our place. And then about 12 hours after that final whistle blew, me and my wife were welcoming our baby girl.
Oh, my God.
Congratulations. That's
I was in the hospital welcoming our new daughter, and at the same time prepping for the semifinal matchup. So life works in funny ways, and it's just such a rewarding experience.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think anybody that coaches, especially at that youth level, that high school and down, where you're such a huge role model in kids' lives. Whether you know it or not, whether you're mean to be or not, just goes a long way.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the greatest reward out of everything.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, we lost in the semifinals for soccer, and kids are coming up hugging you and they're crying, and they're apologizing to you because they felt like they've let you down.
Yeah.
And you know, after you tell them, hey, listen, no, that's not how it is at all. But like, that's how much they care about you.
Right.
And it's just so rewarding.
Yeah, that's great. All right, now the big question in the room.
Oh boy.
Let's hear about how you got into golf and your
man,
golf passion.
Yeah. So I got into golf. My dad got me into golf at a young age, where I was playing. I think I had my first. I chipped in for birdie when I was like 10 years old at a par 3 course my dad had me at, and I loved it. I think I might still have the golf ball somewhere. But then, you know, as we talking about it, I had so many other loves of sports, right?
Yeah.
And when you're 10, 11, 12 years old and you're playing soccer and basketball, like golf is kind of the odd man out.
Yeah.
Right? It's an expensive sport. There's really no options, definitely back then, of any sort of competitive thing at that age level.
Right.
You know, I can go out and play with my dad, but there was nothing like practices or stuff like that. There was no structure. So it kind of just went out the window. I didn't really play it that much. And then really going into, it was really that year between 8th grade and 9th grade where you're getting ready to transition to the high school level. And my father was like, hey, like, you need a third sport.
Yeah.
You need to pick up a third sport. I definitely wasn't playing baseball.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't going to play baseball. I thought really hard about playing volleyball because, you know, it translated well to the basketball game.
Yeah.
Teach me how to jump and some structure like that. And I was fortunate enough, at the time, my dad was the golf coach, so I was looking probably for a season off to kind of just relax and recoup for the upcoming soccer and basketball season. I was like, I'm going to play golf. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. So I played, really that entire 8th grade, 9th grade, that transition summer, I played a lot of golf. And then, you know, my freshman year, I was lucky enough to get into, I think, like the last match of the year. We were over at Pinecrest. I ended up scoring in the match, which was like a huge accomplishment because it was my brother was a senior, and he had some really good golfers in his grade. Danny Pindola was kind of leading the charge. Rathgaber was on the squad, and just some really good golfers. And I ended up making it and getting my score counted in that match. And from that point on, every match I played in high school, I had my score count.
Awesome.
Which was just really, really cool. And for anybody that's ever played the sport, I think it's the most addicting game in the world.
Yeah.
I think it's the most addicting game in the world. It's the second you walk off that 18th hole, I'm looking at my calendar and be like, all right, when's the next time I can get back out there? Like, it's depressing. Like, when I leave, I play men's league basketball, men's league soccer. Like, when that final whistle blows, I'm like, I never want to do this again. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So, golf is like, man, I don't know. I think I could probably go get like another 4 holes in before I got to get
Whether you
home.
play good or bad.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's what makes the game so great, and it's just the most addicting thing in the world. And to me, it's the fact that no matter how good you are, right? And Austin, you can probably attest to this. Is like there's always room for improvement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many games are like that or sports are like that where you're just like, oh, I can get better.
Yeah.
And you can get better over the course, you know, of a few days. You can actually see the progress if you put the work in, right? It's a very intrinsic game, so your performance relies on you.
Yep.
You know, they say all the time, like, you play soccer or basketball, any of those team sports, is like, I might be the best shooter in the world, but if Jeff's the best defender, he can lock me down where he has a stake in how well I do.
Yeah.
Golf, it's me.
Yeah, it's all mental.
It's me. Yeah, Mother Nature and stuff like that plays a huge role. It's the conditions of the course, but at the end of the day, it's on me to go out there and execute. And for a competitive guy like myself, I love the fact that I can't blame anybody but me.
Yeah.
If I stink, I stunk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
that's
and if I did well, I'm the credit for it.
Yeah.
Well, there's no perfect either.
No,
like
yeah.
other sport, you can go 10 for 10 from the field goal, you know, or in soccer, the goalie can have a shutout or a hat trick. You know, football, the quarterback can go 20 for 20. Like, but in golf, no one's scoring 18.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
the first thing you do after you add up your scores, you're like, I left the stroke out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
Right.
Yeah. You know,
shoot 65, and you're like, four shots could have definitely
made me
been reeled back in.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's like the sport where you're like, you kind of admire when other guys are doing very well. I've been very fortunate enough to play with you a few times, and sometimes you get lost and you're like, hey, hit another fairway. Like, these guys just striping the balls.
It's crazy, yeah.
I'm looking for another ball in the woods again, and Austin's in the middle of the fairway. But then to see, guys like Austin that play golf at a really high level, that the first thing they do after a round is get back into the lab or get to the driving range and put in more work. You're like, man. But it's just a fun sport. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be halfway decent at the game.
Yeah.
Austin now working for me, and the first thing I said to him was like, hey, now that you're working for me, I'm gonna need some golf lessons. he had me in the simulator the other day with a high school team, and we were just working on my swing, and talking to some of the guys I play with at work. They're like, you're a single-digit handicap. Are you really working on your game? I'm like, yeah, because I could be a lower single-digit handicap.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just never stopping and always trying to get better. And then, golf's that same way. And this is where it really relates to the other sports. So I see it a lot in, like, basketball now. Like, I used to be really good at something, and now I've slipped off a little bit. I'm like, I know I can get back to it. Basketball, no. Like, I'm not jumping like I used to. I'm not running like I used to. Like, it's just my physical body. But, like, golf, I feel like I can get back to where I used to be.
For sure.
You just got to be able to put in the time. But, I don't think there's a greater sport in the world. I really don't.
I know. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, it is. It's so enjoyable. Yeah, I always think about the basketball. I'm like, man, I can't. I think I tried to play pickup one time with some of my kids that are 18. Like, my reaction time, I don't know if it's all the drinking I've done over the years.
There's a lot of poor decisions.
I'm like, my reaction time is slow.
The worst part is like, and I still play in men's leagues and stuff like that, and like my brain would be like, okay, do this, and this. I'm like, all right. And I think in my head that I just did it, and the ball probably still hasn't left. And then they get the steal, I'm like, I can't do that. Never mind, I can't do that.
My legs just don't want to go that way anymore. I can't move this much.
And my brain's like, are you sure you can do that?
Yeah.
No, the answer is no.
The thought was there, but I mean, you also play golf. You go to Pinehurst, or you go with some friends?
So every Labor Day, this will be our third year doing it. We, me and my 3 college buddies, I'll give them a little shout out in case they're watching. Eric Korytkowski, Andrew Malzewski, and my buddy Rick Lloyd from Texas. And we just take a weekend golf trip, just the 4 of us. No big extravaganza, and we pick places that we can stay and play.
Yeah.
We did Pinehurst was our first trip. I'll be honest with you. We probably should have saved that for down, because once you go to Pinehurst, it's very hard to top. Pinehurst is awful. Any golfers on here, take the Pinehurst trip.
Yeah.
Spend the money, get a group of guys, and spend it, and just go do it. So then we're like, how do we uplive Pinehurst? Like, how do y'all do Pinehurst? So last year we went to Michigan, and we did Forest Dunes, which has 2 courses, Forest Dunes and the Loop. The Loop is the most unique golf course I've ever played in my life. It's 18 holes, really rolling fairways. You play it one way, and then the next day you play it in reverse. So it's 18 holes, but each hole, each green, has 2 different sets of fairways. So one going out and then one coming in.
Oh my God.
So you finish on 18, and the next day you're teeing off of 18. That's the first hole you're playing, but you're playing it a complete opposite way.
Holy crap.
So all the green contours are different because you're attacking it from different angles, and the coolest experience of my life.
That's really
That's
cool.
great,
And then we went up and played Arcadia Bluffs the last 2 days of the trip, which is just about as scenic as a golf course. You forget how big a place like Lake Michigan is. You feel like you're standing on the ocean, but you're like, nope, this is Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Has its own time.
Just what an experience that was. And, being at a place with 4 guys, and you're just like, you're drinking all day, you're having a good time, you're having dinner. You don't have to worry about getting in a car and driving anywhere. You're staying on property. We're going to Nebraska this year at a place called Prairie Dunes, or the Prairie Club, I think it's called. And 5 hours from the nearest major airport. Like, it's a haul to get there, and we can't wait. And then we've already booked next year's trip, which is Bandon. We're going out to Bandon, which you got to book like more than a year in advance.
Awesome.
It's just fun, and we have very loving wives that.
I was gonna say,
it can't happen without that.
Nope. So we have like I said, very loving wives that say, go away for the weekend.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we have an absolute blast. And every year I feel like we're getting the hang of it. Now we do like teams, so like me and my buddy Rick are teammates.
Yeah.
And Eric and Andrew play together, and we just battle all weekend.
Yeah,
We do different games. We do best ball. We do match play, like 1v1 match plays, and we switch guys. And because you have the chance to probably play one of the courses at least once or twice, you have the chance to do fun games. So like we'll do a modified alternate shot for 9 holes, and then we'll do a scramble for the last 9 holes.
Yeah.
Just because we play 36, 36, 36.
Yeah. It's a long 3 days.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years, who has the you in the plus or the minus?
So the first year we didn't do any teams. Every day we would just pick different teams out of a hat, and we just kind of really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
I'll say my game travels very well because I don't do anything fancy. I'm like that 70-year-old golfer that like finds fairways, hits the ball in the center of the green, and 2 putts.
Yeah.
Like, you don't look for many like circles on my card, but like I'm not throwing up double bogeys and triple bogeys. One of our guys, Andrew, he hits the ball like he just mashes the ball. But when you're playing on courses that you might not know about, it can get a little hairy. When we played Pinehurst number 2, the coolest thing we were in the middle of the first fairway, which I was lucky enough to hit. I got like a pigeon wedge in my hand and the caddy, you got to have good caddies at these places because they make the world of difference.
Yeah.
And it was like a back left pin. And he's like, all right, you really got to get the ball back there. And I'm like trying to explain to the caddy, like, no, my game is center of the green, 2 putt, get out of here. He's like, don't put this ball in the center of the green. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're better off missing the ball 40 yards short of the green than putting this thing in the center. I'm like, all right, whatever. I hit my wedge, probably landed 15 feet short of the pin, right in the center of the green where I live. Ball hits, rolls, drops off right into a bunker.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, okay, I get it.
So see what you're saying?
No, whatever. I make my bogey,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Next hole, he's looking at me, he's like, don't put it on this part of the green. Now it's changed, right? So now it's the front left side of the green. Or the pin's on the front right side of the green. And again, not that I'm going pin seeking by any means, but, you want to get the distances right.
Yeah.
Sure enough, from the middle of the fairway, ball right in the center of the green, another bunker.
Oh my God.
So here I am. I've hit 2 fairways in regulation, and now I think I've hit 2 greens in regulation. Both times I'm scrambling just to save bogey because of these balls. And that's what you really don't see at like places around here where you just kind of get lost in the awe of it down there where it's like,
Yeah.
But just a really cool experience. Like I said, if you get a good caddy, if you've had the chance to play with a caddy and they're really good, they change around.
Yeah.
They really do change around. It makes it more fun.
Yeah, that's great.
And, and that last day we played Pinehurst number 2. It was me and Rick were up with the same caddy. It was a younger caddy, guy who really liked to party. And I remember, I think we probably bought every Arnold Palmer spiked drink that Pinehurst had to offer. We were grabbing them, and they're giving them you in bags, and we're walking with them. She's like, well, I'll be back in like 6 holes. We're like, no, we'll see you on the next hole. It was like a 6-hour round because, they say when you play Pinehurst number 2 is that everybody takes it really seriously. Like, nobody's picking up a 4-foot putt. Everybody's putting it out because they want a really true score.
Yeah.
And so you're out there, you're playing, you finish on the 18th hole, which is right in front of the restaurant, and everybody's out there eating, having a good time. They're watching you. People are cheering.
That's
it's
awesome.
just the
That's
coolest
awesome.
environment. Then we finish that up, and you go over, and Pinehurst has a short par 3 course called the Cradle. And I hope this is where the future of golf goes.
Yeah.
Where it's just a party. There's beverage carts out there on the par 3 course. They're bumping music. People are sitting in Adirondack chairs, just circled around almost every one of the 9 greens.
Really? Wow.
I remember we were hitting into the 9th green, and we're playing. It's getting dark out, and because our round at number 2 took so long, the guy at the Cradle was like, "No, we can't. You guys missed your tee time. We can't have you out there."
Yeah.
In golf, if you grease enough wheels,
the
guy ended up letting us out there. I don't know his name, so I can't get him fired. But he ended up letting us go play. And I remember playing the 9th hole. I stuck a ball on the green. And there was like 6 or 7 guys sitting in these Adirondack chairs watching. And one guy shouts out, "I could make that putt." We've been drinking all day, so I'm like, "Come make it!" He comes down, misses the putt by like 50 feet. It was a terrible putt. But now you're having drinks with those guys. It's just the coolest environment. Everybody's really in the same boat. Guys are just kind of getting away for the weekend, escaping the mundane everyday life. So
that's awesome.
I think everybody comes together in that same kind of atmosphere.
That's so cool.
You know,
Yeah.
and you guys kind of both know I'm a very social guy, especially,
Yeah.
I love a good alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
And, cigars get flying.
Yeah.
We went to, we did Michigan this year. It was like the first, you make friends with the bartenders, you make friends with the beverage cart girls, and you make friends with the caddies and the starters.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those
Then
are
you're
the
set for
guys.
the week.
And then you're set for the week. We, the guy we had at the main Arcadia Bluffs course is a member at one of the big time Florida private courses, and he's like, "Oh, come down, play whenever you want." I got his number. His name was Jim, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then you just start making those connections, and that's really what it's about, and that's what the game of golf I think really does for you.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Especially if you can be level-headed enough where you're not out there chucking clubs around and not looking like a toilet jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There's
a time and a place for it, for
Yeah,
sure. But
Yeah. I've probably thrown a club or two, but like even that,
Yeah,
like
dude.
it's where even for a guy like me, I'm about as competitive as can be. Like I will kill you on the basketball court or the soccer field just to get a leg up.
yeah.
When I play golf, I'm just relaxed.
It's a nice thing, though.
It's
I'm
hard.
just
Yeah.
very relaxed. Like I want to win, but like again, like I only have myself to blame.
Yeah.
Like if I don't do something right, I only have myself to blame.
I know, but then you're playing like high handicappers and they hit a 50 footer.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, what is going on to me today?
Yeah.
Well, that's basically all the questions we have. I think
Yeah.
we'll cut to our sponsors, and then we'll go right into sports. So,
All right.
Welcome to Vintage Cigar Lounge, the place where you escape to, not from. A place where your cigar options are limitless. A place where friends come together and bond over the finest cigars and drinks. A place where your selected few can retreat to and enjoy premium cigars, great conversation, and your liquor of choice within the privacy of our private rooms. Looking for a place to escape to? Our doors are always open.
All right. Well, that was a word from our sponsor. Thanks again for Vintage. We had a great time at their Drew Estate event last Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. Good to talk to everyone and have people come in. And had a lot of guests, and there'll be some clips out of that show floating around on Instagram and stuff. But let's get into it. We have the Final Four coming up, and we have UConn versus
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah,
That's-
Miami.
I always
Yeah.
forget Miami's in it. I don't know
I know.
why. I always forget because it's not. They're a football school, and then you have San Diego State versus FAU. So Eric, what are your thoughts on coming into the Final Four and even this tournament? What's been all about?
Yeah, I think for the last couple of years, really since the NIL has really taken off, I think you could kind of see this kind of year coming,
Yeah.
where it's really the new norm,
Yeah.
where they're going to be battles. And I think the game of
Yeah.
basketball has changed enough where an underdog team, if they get hot from behind the arc,
Yeah.
you're going to win basketball games.
Mm-hmm.
If you can shoot the ball and make them go in, you could be in games.
Yeah.
The one thing that is changed so much and drastically is that all these teams that try to rely on like their post game
Yeah.
are falling off the map.
Yeah.
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 Right? I mean, you had Purdue get knocked out. They had probably the best player in the nation.
Yeah.
But if you're going to live and die about getting the ball to the post, and trying
Yeah.
to go 2 for 3 every time down the court,
Right.
Yeah.
you're in trouble. But it makes it really fun. I know a lot.
Yeah.
There's been some, definitely analysts saying that it's not great for the game of basketball because some of these teams that are left play really ugly style of basketball, and they're talking about how this is really the best time for the college game to be on the radar, right? So everybody's going to be watching tonight. Everybody's going to be watching Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have two teams out there kind of mucking it up, playing in the 50s, it gives the team a bad name. The game a bad name. But I think for the purists out there that kind of just love
Yeah.
college basketball for what it's about,
Yeah.
it's fine. I think is it DeAndre Fox? He played for Kentucky, right? He had some words the other day where like, I can't watch college basketball because it's a sloppy game. It's not well coached sometimes. Guys are taking bad time. It was just kind of dogging on the game, and I'm like, that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah. It's not all perfect.
Yeah.
Some of these, games. Who'd Fairleigh Dickinson play in the second round? There was it FDU.
FAU.
I mean FAU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. If anybody watched that game, was probably one of the most fun basketball games I've ever watched
Yeah.
in my life. It was just 10, 12, 14 kids leaving everything they had out there.
Yeah.
They were just going, punch for punch. One team would hit a three, the other team come back, hit a three. Like, it was just an awesome game. I will take that over an NBA game where, a 20-point lead heading into the fourth quarter really isn't anything.
Yeah.
It's just, all right, we're going to sit our stars here. Like, these kids are playing 98% of the game.
Yeah.
And then you get the NBA guys. The load management thing has been huge this year. Guys are just kind of getting roped for it. So I'll take the college game. I'm a college basketball fan at heart.
Yeah.
Love the game. Love this tournament.
How could you not though? Like it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's all.
I did. This is the first year I've ever done it, but I actually got into a survivor pool,
Yeah.
and it might be better than brackets.
Yeah, really?
Really?
It was the coolest thing. We ended up losing the Princeton game. We took Princeton. There was like 23 people left, and we knew everybody was going with who they played, Creighton.
They played. Yeah, I think
Right?
they played
Creighton.
Yeah.
Creighton's the one that ended up beating it. So we knew everybody was going to Creighton.
Yeah.
So we were like, if we're gonna win this thing, let's win it tonight. We took Princeton.
Yeah.
We do a lot of those things with the golf buddies that I was talking about.
Yeah.
We do a lot of sports betting together.
Yeah.
So we were all in on it together. We're like, let's go Princeton. Let's try to win the thing. But it was cool because you have to look at the long-term effects. Like, if you pick a team in the first round, but they make a run to the Final Four, it kind of hurts you because now you can't pick that team anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If you pick two teams that meet in the finals and you picked them in round one, well, now you get to the championship game and you don't have. So it was really neat. But as far as the games tonight, I don't know what your thoughts. I mean, UConn should be the favorite.
Oh my God.
They're playing the best basketball at this point in time.
They're rolling.
I don't think I've seen a tournament this dominant. I'll be biased. I'm a big UNC fan, but that late 2000, I think it was like maybe 2008, 2019, where they just beat everybody by double digits the entire tournament. They looked unstoppable. UConn looks like that right now.
Yeah.
They look very tough.
But I think the most talented team left is Miami. I think roster-wise, they probably have the most dynamic scorers. UConn's got some big guards. That's going to go a long way for them. And then on the other side, San Diego State and FAU. They're just gonna battle. I can't even predict that game. I don't know.
I don't know.
FAU's had some great guard play.
Yeah.
San Diego State seems more. They're a rough bunch. They got into that. That rugby match they were talking about with Tennessee, and it's going to be fun. I think you're going to see two completely different games.
Yeah.
Which is going to be fun. I mean, I can see UConn and Miami could score 80 each.
Yeah.
And I think that other game's going to be played in the 50s, maybe the low 60s. So, I'm in a bracket pool. I think I'm the only guy with UConn winning it all.
Oh wow.
So I'm selfishly rooting for UConn.
Yeah.
My buddy Eric, he's a huge Hurricane fan, so I say hedging. I hedge my bracket. We have some money on Miami tonight. It's crazy to think that Miami's getting 5.5 points.
Yeah.
After what they've done to two of the favorites. Texas was definitely a favorite, and then.
That's crazy.
Texas had them.
And then Houston before that.
Yeah.
Texas had them.
Texas had
them. And then
that was a terrible last couple of minutes of that game.
Yeah.
And then, I don't think you can discount what UConn's doing.
No.
Yeah,
You really can't. I know a lot of people heading into the tournament. I think probably around here are really still upset with Hurley. So
It's nothing you can blame. You can't blame him though. I mean,
No.
he went to a better. I mean,
Yeah,
a
you
bigger
can't-
program,
Yeah.
and he got paid more, and like what you or I was offering him was I think like $1 million less, but what he's making now I think he's at $2 or something. But I mean, UConn just carries a bigger name when you get
Oh, yeah.
recruiting. You have 4 national championships
Yeah.
already. You can't blame him. I mean, it would be nice if he stayed, but it's different when you go from a mid-major to a bigger conference. I think the only guy that I know that's really still coaching on a mid-major is Coach Few. That's at Gonzaga.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only guy that's really been with the same program for the past 20 years.
yeah, and I mean he's put that school on the map.
Map, yeah,
yeah.
They're there.
So it's interesting. So I don't know. I mean, I think UConn you can't discount what they're doing. I mean, they've won.
I just think UConn has.
everything.
If one of their guys doesn't have a good game, there's 4 other guys that
Yeah,
can
they
pick up
have
the
depth big time.
or for Miami, if Wong doesn't have a good game,
Yeah,
they're probably going to struggle, like they did in the
Yeah.
first round. Like they almost got knocked out in the first
Yeah.
round. Like I think Wong had 5 points or something
Yeah.
like that, and
Same thing.
They
Texas
struggle.
team.
Yeah.
The Texas, he turned it on.
Yeah,
but
in the first half, he was.
Yeah, he had some really tough paint.
Oh,
like he'd get to the paint, hit that fade. Oh god.
I think guard play in the tournament is the most important. Like you said, going back to the paint touches and getting into the big men. Like if your big men can't kind of stretch the floor, and that's where UConn has been so lethal because when they do get it into the post, if they double who's 21, if they double him, he's been dumping it off and getting wide open layups and threes.
Yeah.
Which during the season he was just a black hole. That shot was going up, you know. And if you have the versatility to be able to work it inside out, outside in, then you're gonna be tough to guard.
UConn has like a big three anyways with like Hawkins, Sanogo, and Jackson.
Yeah.
Because Jackson's a great slasher. That's who he finds on those cuts. It's like if they go to
and Hawkins, oh my god.
Is that number 24?
Yeah.
Dude.
He's so
Holy
pure.
moly.
Yeah. This shot is just pure.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would love to see the stats. I mean, obviously, I remember more of the makes than the misses.
Yeah.
But in my memory, I feel like he's shooting 60% from behind the arc.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
it is so
and he's
pure.
taking contested like pull-up threes.
Yeah.
Draining them.
His
In
mid-range
transition.
game,
Yeah.
And he's a big guard. They have big guards. UConn's got big guards.
Oh
I
my
think they're a
God.
little bit of a mismatch nightmare for Miami, but Miami
Plus the
just,
freshman's so raw.
Yeah.
Like imagine him next year or the year
Klingon?
after.
Yeah, that kid. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
From Bristol?
Yeah.
Once he develops and he's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And they got Joey California or whatever his
Oh,
name is.
yeah.
Yeah, the kid from San Diego.
Dude is good.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
can hit threes. But I think
they're tough.
FAU is tough too because FAU's another deep team.
Yeah.
They go 4 or 5 deep as well.
Yeah,
too.
I mean
And
they make 4-player substitutions.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a hockey. It's like a
Never
hockey
see
team.
that.
Yeah. It's like
It's
gonna be it's gonna be interesting of what's gonna happen. But I don't know. I think it might be UConn, FAU. Maybe UConn wins it, but I don't know. But I can't count San Diego State out because San Diego's tough. And I
think if that game is played in the 50s, San Diego State takes it. I think if
Yeah.
it gets into somewhat of a shootout,
Yeah.
I think it just favors FAU.
Yeah.
But
Be
you know,
interesting to
one of
see.
the most fun teams to watch. I'm very upset that they're out, but that Kansas State team. Holy
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
That
That dude is
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
Noel or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
Marquise
man.
Noel. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What an absolute gem to watch.
Dude, his passes, some of the passes he made, I was like, how the hell did
Yeah.
you make that?
He's
He'd
got
make
eyes
like
in the back of his head.
He'd make passes around guys like who are guarding and just throw it around him and it bounced to it's like, dude.
He's a true point guard. Like you
Yeah.
don't see that very often.
Yeah.
And then now that he's like Nate Robinson size too,
Yeah.
and he is like a Rondo type.
Yeah.
Guard.
In that,
He's a
was
good.
it that first round. I mean, he had like back to back. He had the behind the back pass, which was an absolute dime.
Yeah.
And then he had the between the legs layoff, or like
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
And then the alley oop when he's arguing with his coach over what
Oh,
play to
yeah,
run.
yeah.
What
And
a
he's like,
that was
"What?"
awesome.
And then he just throws it.
But it was funny. He pointed to Isaiah Thomas before. They said, "Watch this," and that's
Yeah.
what they did. And I'm like, it was not.
It's
It's just
insane.
Such a
He
good-
was good.
That was fun.
I
I'm
yeah.
very upset that I didn't get, because again, he plays at a team like I'll be honest with you, I had no idea who he was until that first round of the play.
Yeah, same here.
Me
Yeah.
neither.
But that's what makes to me the tournament so much fun. Is I remember when Steph Curry was at Davidson.
Oh
And
yeah.
he got into that tournament. Like I had never heard of Steph Curry before, and then they're in that first round and he's just shocking.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, this guy's just dynamite,
Yeah.
That's
And
the best part about the tournament is those players that you just get like hooked up, like Kimball Walker with that run.
Yeah.
I was
And
just
then they
gonna say
just
Kemba
spring
Walker.
shot.
Yeah.
This is like those guys. It's just like you get like hooked on. Like you just love
Yeah.
to watch them. I know. Like remember that year with Kimba. I think everyone was hoping that BYU would make it to the finals.
Yeah.
So it would be UConn versus like Kimba versus Jimmer. 'Cause
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like the two best players at the time in
Yeah.
college basketball. But you just get like hooked up.
BYU got gypped that year. They had the kid that got suspended.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
We
No.
won't get into it on camera.
Yeah.
When
I
you're
was
at
gonna
that-
say something
when you're at
like
that
that,
Mormon
when you
State
say-
College,
yeah,
and it's
can't-
like
can't say that. My mind went to a place I was about to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
Better not say that.
I loved that BYU team. I
Yeah.
loved Jimmer.
They were
I think
fun.
he was great for the game of
Yeah,
basketball.
so much
Yeah.
fun. But then we'll move on to the women's Final Four
Oh
too.
my God.
That girl, Caitlin Clark. My
is
God, she can ball. That's
unbelievable.
crazy.
40 points a game. She's
Yeah.
just averaging.
It's-
like it's nothing.
It's insane. She had a highlight last year that I think kind of put her on the map where she scored, I don't know, I think she had like 8 or 9 threes and she was pulling up from the logo.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen her. I was like, man.
Yeah.
And then she's done it a few times this year, and it's like, that's great for that game.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's got the kill factor too.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
screaming. She's mocking people.
People,
Like
yeah.
that is
Great.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
sports need to be played. And for
100%.
people that
Yeah.
don't agree,
100%.
they should not be playing
Had a
sports.
highlight where she waved the girl off.
Yeah.
She knew she wasn't going to shoot
Yeah.
it. She's like, whatever. Yeah, I don't have to go out
Just
there. And
playing
go
her
out
in the
there.
paint.
Yeah, yeah.
Unguardable.
awesome.
At this point in time, she's unguardable.
She is, yeah, she is unguardable.
It'd be interesting how LSU plays against her because the LSU coach was the better coach. And like
You got to go triangle and
Yeah.
2 on her.
Yeah.
You
When
have to.
she
Yeah,
gets
try
the
something.
2.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to lose, let
Yeah.
somebody else beat you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Seriously, that's
If
the only
she
way.
if she scores 30, you're probably losing.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
You
She's
got to
so
make
dominant.
you got to make somebody else, beat you.
Yeah.
I'll backtrack just a little bit, going back to the when Coach B and I really first started. The first 2 years we were together, we played in D2.
Yeah.
The team had just moved up. One of the reasons, we were allowed to come in because the coach hightailed it because they just got moved up to D2.
Yeah.
And some of the players that were in D2 back there were, Heron was playing at Portsmouth,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
and Kolak was at Cumberland, and Kolak was playing with his brother,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who was also a stud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we would go into some of these games, and we were so outmatched. We won 2 games in 2 years in Division II, and we were like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna take your best player away from you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to beat us with other guys."
Yeah.
And they could.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they did. But yeah, we held the Kolak brothers to like 6 and 8 points, and we held Heron to like 8 points. That was like our claim to fame
Yeah,
back then.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing against them?" We're like Heron was the perfect. Like we went triangle and 2 on him.
Yeah.
And we just put the 2 guys on him.
Yeah.
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 They're like, "Hey, if somebody else beats us, somebody else beats us. We're not gonna let Heron go off for 60."
Yeah, seriously.
Because that's what he probably would have gone off for us. And the Kolak brothers the same. We ran a triangle and 2 on the 2 of them. We switched every screen.
Yeah.
So if somebody in the triangle got screened, they would just switch on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but it was fun. But that's what you have to think outside the box on
Yeah.
a player like her,
Yeah.
which is really cool for her
Yeah.
to know that it's going to take some monumental game planning to stop her.
Yeah. But even now, I mean, throughout the entire tournament,
Like
she scored 40. What, 2-3 times out of 4 games?
Yeah, she's been.
Like, and one was a 40-point triple double.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So even if she doesn't score, say she scores
Yeah.
20, she's impacting the game, rebounding, stealing, assisting.
I think the coolest
so,
thing about her 40-point games was they've come in like the last 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like as the competition is getting better,
She's getting better.
she's getting better.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the scary part. It's not like she
Yeah.
dropped 40 against like the first round team where you're like, all right, yeah, we get it.
Right.
Like she's done it in like the Elite 8 and the Sweet, like that's big time.
And
Yeah.
then against South Carolina, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought South Carolina was hands down going to repeat.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
too.
No
yeah.
shot did I
Yeah.
think that they were going to lose.
That's the other best
And
part
then-
is like they're the underdogs in
Yeah.
these games.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, I know, but she takes 2 steps over half court and she's just chucking.
Yeah.
Off of a crossover or off of like a behind the back or between the legs, she's just pulling
Jealous.
up in
100% jealous.
in
Yeah.
someone's face and
So good.
just walking down the other end of the court. It's like Steph Curry, actually. It's
I think
unbelievable.
probably one of the best things that happened in girls college basketball since, again, I don't follow as much. I mean,
Yeah.
when UConn had their run, but like Diana Taurasi and like that, like
Yes.
where
Yeah.
they were like
Yeah.
Maya Moore.
Maya
Yeah.
Maya Moore was probably the best woman basketball player that I saw that could create her own shot the way she did.
Yeah.
This girl is better. Caitlin is like
Yeah.
there at no point in time if I was defending her was I like, oh, she can't take the shot. BS.
Yeah.
She can and she will
Step back.
hit it.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
step back
She
from
will hit
3
it.
feet
You're
behind
almost
the
better
three-point
just
line.
trying to chase her off the 3-point line.
Right, doing something.
If she's
Yeah.
gonna kill you with twos, let her kill you
Yeah,
with twos.
twos.
But
Yeah.
3-pointers is
She's
the game
lethal.
changer.
She is
crazy.
lethal.
So good.
It is
Every
brutal.
time I look at the box score like of the games, like Jesus,
Yeah.
dropped another 40.
I
Like
know.
no problem. Like,
I don't know if LSU is gonna I don't know how their guard play is gonna match up. Like they have the big girl down low, which
Yeah.
I don't know if I was gonna be able to match up with her.
yeah.
But then on the other end,
But if
so
you're exchanging 2 for 3s all
I
night,
I know
yeah,
that's it. Like
Gonna
it's
be-
gonna be tough. It's gonna be good actually.
Yeah, it should be a good matchup. That's on.
I'll be honest with you. I'll throw
Yeah.
out.
I'll
I
check
did
it
it
out,
the other
yeah.
night, and I'll do it again. It's like I'll watch her play.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
That's like much watch TV.
She's
is.
a generational talent.
Yeah.
An absolute generational talent. And like I said, I can't wait to watch her.
Yeah.
See what she does next because
It'll be fun.
It's gonna be
It's
a good time.
as T.O. used to say, get your popcorn ready.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an epic event.
Yeah, then let's move on to the we have the best week of sports coming up anyways. Next week we have Monday the NCAA tournament final, and then we had the Masters. So any Masters predictions? Do you guys have any thoughts? Anyone coming in? I know the LIV players are coming into play a little bit too.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? I don't know if Austin, you want to take that one or?
I'll take it. I'll start off.
Yeah.
I got Rory winning this one.
Yeah.
Yep. I think he needs to get his fourth one, meaning get every major, and the Masters was the one that he had the debacle collapse on first and foremost when he should have won that. And I think that with all of the LIV guys coming back now and this being the first one, the last year and a half he's put his stamp on the game along with Jon Rahm, but he's been the voice of the PGA Tour, and I think he is just going to kind of use that as fuel and be like, listen, you guys should have stayed here, and you guys cannot compete with me or any of the top elite PGA players. That's my prediction. I hope to see him win. I want him to see him win. Obviously, I want to see Tiger win. I don't think he's ready this year.
Yeah.
Next year, if he keeps getting stronger, I definitely think that he could win another Masters because he's unbelievable around that place. But I think McIlroy this year, that's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, when you throw a name out like that, it's tough to argue against it. I used to hate Rory McIlroy. I think when he was coming up, he had this little. I'm a Tiger guy through and through.
Yeah.
So if Tiger didn't like somebody, I didn't like him.
Yeah.
People ask me I hate Phil Mickelson. Like, why do you hate Phil? Because Tiger hated Phil. Even though they've mended that relationship. But it's the same thing with Tiger and Rory. Before really Nike brought them both in. They had this cool little, and Tiger was at the back end at the time already. But I hated Rory. My wife loves Rory. So we used to argue all the time because I have my wife, and God bless her soul, because she knows how much I love coaching and allows me to do it, but how much I love golf.
Yeah.
We were talking off camera about playing members, being a member at places and taking these weekend trips, and when you're married and I have 2 kids at home, she understands how much it means to me.
Yeah.
So I have the TV on and she's rooting for Rory. It's
Yeah.
I love watching her root for Rory.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not Rory. But I've come to like Rory a lot more now.
Yeah.
I think he's come out of his shell.
Yeah.
He's definitely a lot more outgoing. He's in the media a lot more now. I would love to see him to win it. If it's not Tiger, I would probably root for Rory. I don't know how you bet against a guy like Rahm and what he's doing.
Yeah.
But at that course, it really comes down to, it's can you play that course?
Yeah.
I guarantee, Adam Scott, who we probably haven't heard of him forever, he's going to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see him going. There's another guy I hate for obscure reasons. I hated him because, what's his face, went and caddied for him after Steve there.
Yeah.
When he left Tiger and went to caddy for Adam Scott, I just hated Adam Scott.
Yeah.
But how do you, a guy that has so much success at that course, and I don't know if there's a better event. I love watching the Masters.
So once that music kicks in.
Yeah.
It's my favorite major to watch.
Yeah.
I love the British Open, which is crazy. Out of all the other majors, British is my favorite, probably because you can wake up at 5:30 in the morning and start watching golf.
Yeah, that's
a
awesome.
huge draw for me. But it'd be hard to root against Rory, but at the same time, a guy like Rahm has just been on fire.
Yeah.
Been unconscious lately.
Scheffler.
Scotty,
Scheffler.
Scotty's been an absolute stud.
He's been playing unbelievable too. That's another thing.
There's so many. Cam Smith could come from the LIV and win. He is that was one player that I was mad that he went to LIV. I like watching him every weekend.
Colin,
Morikawa.
He's a really fun golfer to watch.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wide. It's pretty much.
Do you have a guy that you think? I guess I didn't really give you an answer, but I think I would echo on. That's why you let Austin go first, because it's take the easy guy. I'd love to see Roy win. I think he can do it. I think he is the best pure golfer on tour.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that it doesn't always translate to wins, especially in major moments, which again, I'll go back to Tiger, which makes I think every year that passes and you see the guys that struggle for that number one spot, makes what Tiger did just so much more remarkable.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. To make the game what it is today.
But, what do you think, Chad?
I don't know. It's hard to bet against Scotty because he's been playing really well. I'd like to see a final two of Scotty and Rory.
Yeah,
we missed out on
final
that.
pair.
Final pair. I'd like to see that in a final pair. Just two guys who've been playing phenomenal golf.
Yeah.
Maybe throw Rahm in the mix. I would like to have honestly a good mix, but I could see a Rory winning, but I could also see Scheffler.
I just want it tight. I don't want to run away victory. I want it tight.
Unless Tiger wins by 20 strokes.
That I'll take. I'll take it. Tiger hasn't won on Saturday.
I know it. Plus, I think I also want to hit on Rory is. I feel like he's so humble for what he's accomplished. Like that's what makes him so likable. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, he took this whole live PGA thing under his own wing basically, and just he's been the voice of reason, which is awesome to see. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's definitely one of the best weeks of the year.
I'm so pumped for it. Once that music hits into that Masters music, and you I'm not gonna get any work done again on Thursday and Friday.
Now a little off topic. We're kind of on topic. Let me ask you, because this was in my head. It's as a guy that is a stick of a golfer, right? You're very good. And if anybody watching, I think Austin, get a tee time with Austin and watch him play for 18 holes and just drool. What do you feel about the whole ball thing, the restricted ball flight kind of ball?
Oh, I mean, it takes away from the technology of the game, I think. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, the guys are it doesn't, the technology has evolved, but players' bodies have evolved.
Yeah.
The training has evolved, and all of it goes back to Tiger. Like, he was the first one to really get this going. Yeah. And now we have more athletes in the game, and that is one of the main reasons why they're hitting it so far.
Yeah.
Plus the technology, but you're going to gear it back to just those guys, right?
Yeah.
But then the 10 handicaps, the 5 handicaps, they're going to be able to play a different ball. I don't know about you guys, but I play a ball that works for me, but also that is proven on tour.
Yeah.
That wins
that's the
on
selling
tour.
point, right?
How are they going to, no, this one's going to go 10% less than the one that I'm using? That's
ridiculous.
I just think there's so much stuff they can do around a golf course to make it tougher. I'm a big proponent of you go to some of these courses, shrink the fairways, and grow that rough out.
Yeah, exactly.
I love watching, you get to the U.S. Open and they drop a ball in the rough from their hip and you can't see it.
Yeah.
That's how every course should be.
Yeah.
Penalize, that's how you penalize distance where you don't really care where it's going,
right?
Versus hitting fairways.
Right. Yeah.
Wasn't it U.S. Open that I think it was Koepka that won, but he won +1. He was
that's
over.
Where that so.
Was that with
the ball has the ball has what does the ball have to do with that? Nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah.
You got to hit it in the middle of the fairway. You got to hit it on the greens.
Courses are tough.
It just needs to be a little bit tougher. It's easier and courses are going to get longer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. That's the game is evolving. That's what you want to see. You don't want it to stay stagnant. Yeah. Right. So.
Yeah,
I don't see a problem with it.
I'm looking at tees. Like I said, we're going to Nebraska. I was looking at some of the tees from Prairie, and it's a newer course out there. But the blue tees are 7,200 yards. The championship tees are playing at 7,800.
Yes.
I remember when Shelter Harbor opened and you saw those black tees. You're like, all right, 74, 75.
Yeah.
Now it's woo, 7,800 yards.
But it makes it fun.
Yeah.
You go
if
out
you can
there.
Play those tees.
This is where the pros play from. Let's go and see what my game transcends from that, translates to.
Plus 200 would be mine.
When Austin had me and he was working on my driver the other day, I was telling him how my current drive, I can play anywhere around here and be fine. I can hit fairways with it. I said, but we were playing out in Michigan last year, and the 18th hole at one of the Arcadia Bluffs course was 520-yard par 4. I went driver, hit the fairway.
Yeah.
And then I hit driver off the deck, hit a really good one again, and I was 10 yards short of the green. And I'm like,
driver.
Yeah, I can't do this.
Right.
Yeah, it's just tough.
This is not my game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's so much that can be done with the game and the golf courses before they ever have to get.
I totally agree. I don't think, and that's where I disagree with Tiger, because Tiger wants it to.
Yeah. Well, even Rory said,
like,
right? Rory said, "Hey, even if the PGA doesn't adopt it, I may start playing with that ball."
Yeah, but then he's.
And I'm like, that's the.
So now instead of hitting it 340, you're gonna hit it 320
and be 30 yards behind everybody else.
Right, exactly, and you're gonna try and win golf tournaments like that at a disadvantage. You're handicapping yourself already. That's not happening.
Yourself, yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh man, well this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Eric, having you on. That's a great
thank
interview,
you.
and we appreciate your time. So yeah, definitely. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
No
You guys
problem.
are killing
thank
it.
you.
You know, Jeff. You know, you started a couple years ago during COVID, and this is so much better, by the way, being in person.
It's nice.
Having a beverage than over Zoom, but you did such a great job with the basketball thing in high school sports a couple years ago.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, I know some of us are in the coaching circle still talk about it, so it's good seeing you kind of go to the next level here.
Yeah.
Great job by Vintage allowing you to kind of come in here and do this thing back here.
It's been great.
Austin, getting your perspective, especially with golf, you know, talking to us scrubs, you know, about golf, and it's just such a different mindset for a guy that, like, when you start talking about, can you go out there and, you know, if I shoot 72, 73, 74, 1 or 2 over par, like, that makes my entire year. Versus what you were saying, like, I can go out and shoot 65 and find the mistakes on the scorecard.
Yeah.
You know?
Not all the time, but and there's room for improvement. Like I gotta hopefully get a win this year, but it'll take time. Yeah, you
got a successful year last year, a couple ties, right? And
you got to go through the gauntlet before you get the success. That's the tough part. So I've had my last couple of years of not winning. Hopefully this year I can turn the page.
I tell you what, with those new irons, he has some new irons.
I saw the picture.
And I took a swing with one the other day, and let me tell you, it is the most pure feeling with an iron I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah,
did you end up sneaking it in your bag? And maybe
if you're missing a 7, if you're missing a 7 iron, I know what it is. I hit one ball, and you can't even feel this thing coming off the club. It just so I think it could be your year, buddy.
I hope so.
I hope so too. All right, well, that's it.
All right.